So if you own the DJI Neo, like I do, then you're probably looking for ways to get better looking footage. It's no secret that this drone is an entry-level $199 drone from DJI. And one of the weaknesses of this drone is the sensor size. It has a 1/2-inch sensor. And with a sensor of that size, it's not the easiest to get good looking footage. And that footage is going to tend to look really sharp from this drone. And on a bright sunny day like today, which it is very bright and very sunny, the footage is also going to have a really fast shutter speed. And each of those frames is going to look really sharp and kind of jarring when watching the footage. The flow of any motion in that is not going to be smooth. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the reason why I highly recommend ND filters for the DJI Neo. And I'm going to show you how to use those. It's actually very simple to use with this drone. And while you can do manual settings on the drone, if you pick up one of these controllers from DJI, the controller is an additional cost. And I have found doing the manual settings, the footage will look a little bit better, but I'm not sure that I would say it's worth the cost. For this $199 drone, using the ND filters can make a big difference, especially with that sharpness of the footage. It makes them much more appealing looking. So the first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to attach these filters, and then I'm going to show you some footage comparisons so you can see what the footage looks like without the ND filters, and then what it looks like with the ND filters. And today I'm going to just be using the DJI Neo and my phone. So the settings are going to be auto on here. So the ND filters are really easy to use and attach. First thing you want to do is you want to just pull off the lens guard here at the front of the drone. And then I recommend keeping the drone powered off while you're doing this so you're not fighting against the gimbal when putting on the filter. So you'll notice here that there's this little ring around here. And that is because I've already added it from my ND filter pack. Inside your ND filter pack, the adhesive ring is right here. And basically this is a little piece of metal because these will magnetically adhere to that. And on the back of it, there's the adhesive, and you just pull off those two white strips and then you push firmly on there while holding this with one hand and the gimbal with the other, because you want to be careful not to break it. And Freewell has included 2 of these in here, which is great. And by the way, there are 2 different ND filter packs that I have from Freewell. The first one is this standard pack right here. And the standard pack doesn't include the polarizing effect. And then the other pack includes the polarizer. So the polarizer is great if you're working near water or anything like that where you want to limit the reflectivity of the surface. The polarizing is great for that. Once we have the metal mount attached to our lens, we want to pick out an ND filter. Now, if it's a really bright day like today, I recommend starting with ND16. This filter pack does include ND8, ND16, and ND32. And I personally find that ND16 is usually going to work best on a bright day, unless it's super bright and I'm at a beach or something like that. And then ND32 can be needed. So all you gotta do is hold it close there, and it's going to magnetically attach, and it's nice and firm on there. It is fairly challenging to pull it off, so that's good. One of my initial concerns was how easy would it be to lose these off, but I've done a lot of filming with this with the ND filters on, and they have not fallen off yet. So then the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out if ND16 is going to be the correct filter for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the DJI Fly app on my phone, and we're going to make sure. And in this case, what I recommend is I recommend facing the drone in the direction you're going to have it facing when filming. With a smaller 1/2-inch sensor in here, that actually can make a big difference, the exact lighting. So in this case, I'm going to be flying the drone this way in a moment when I show you the sample shots. And then we're going to connect here. And what we want to do is we want to just hold the drone up a little bit, and we want to make sure our footage isn't too dark. Right now, that looks like a pretty good exposure. Now, obviously, when you fly with just the drone in the DJI Fly app, you're not going to be able to change any settings. So what our goal is with this ND filter right here is our goal is to get the shutter speed slower, because a slower shutter speed has more motion blur, and the frames look a lot more appealing with that motion blur. They look a lot less sharp and a lot better. We just want to make sure we don't put on so high of an ND filter that the camera has to artificially boost the ISO, because when it does that, your footage is going to have a lot of noise and grain, and it's not going to look good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and film some samples so you can see what this looks like with and without the ND filter. And then I'm going to put on ND8, ND16, and ND32 so you can see the difference. So first of all, we're going to fly the Neo with no ND filters on. so you can see how the footage looks to begin with. So this is a shot with no ND filters on it, just the default look to it. As you can see, those frames there look rather sharp with the motion. And we're going to bring it back. I'm going to try to add ND8 with it still in the air to see if it'll let me. It did let me put on ND8 while it was still airborne. So there you go, it is possible, thanks to the magnets. So let's see what ND8 looks like. So looking at that ND8 on the phone here at least, that footage still looks rather sharp. All right, so this is with ND16. And obviously this drone has no obstacle avoidance, so we want to make sure not to hit anything. We're going to stop it right there, and we're going to bring it back. Next, we're going to do ND32 on here. So we've got ND32 on right there. And we're going to give ND32 a flight. All right, and here's ND32. You can see there when it gets in some of those darker shadows, it is boosting the light a little bit. All right, now we're gonna bring it back. And we're gonna stop it right there. So looking at that footage initially, on a day like today, ND16 and ND32 look best. So I think ND16 is probably the best balance because it looks like it had to boost the ISO a little too much for my liking with ND32. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put ND16 on here and I'm going to do the follow mode. And I'm just going to film some test footage with the drone following me around. I'll run some of the time, walk some of the time, but that way you can see a good example of what it looks like with a subject in it.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so gonna have it follow me here. And I'm gonna do a little bit of running just to see if I can get away from it. I kind of already know the answer to that. that I will not be getting away from it, but it's fun to try. We're gonna face the sun a little bit here now too. See how it does. See if we can get through here with it. I'm not confident we can. But if you guide it precisely, it'll do a pretty good job of following you without hitting anything, as long as you don't hit anything. It's one of the things I found about this. It's kind of awkward running with the phone. Made it back from the run. So if you're interested in these ND filters from Freewell, I've linked to these in the description below.